Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, before I get started, I want to let people know that tonight at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be interviewing fellow YouTuber Garage Autonomous, and we're going to be talking about a wide range of issues, including the so-called Black manosphere, sexism, misogyny, and other topics. So I hope you all can join us for that discussion. Again, that's tonight at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if there are questions you think I should ask Garage Autonomous, for those of you who are familiar with the brother, you can leave those in the comment section to this video. So for this video, I'm going to talk about what everybody has heard about, and that's Donald Trump firing FBI Director James Comey. Now, the excuse that the Trump administration is trying to use for this drastic and shocking action is Comey's handling of the Clinton email investigation. They're trying to use that as an excuse. And as we know, Clinton was being investigated for having classified information on a private server and all that kind of stuff. And days before the election, after the FBI had announced that they had closed their investigation of that issue, they announced that they were reopening that investigation right before the election, like days before the election. And many people say, even Hillary Clinton say that had an impact on the election. You know, they talk about that. They talk about how that may have turned the election in Trump's favor. So a lot of Democrats don't like James Comey. A lot of Democrats were condemning him, condemning his actions, questioning his judgment. So here we are, like all these months later, all of a sudden, the Trump administration expects us to believe that that was the real reason why Trump decided to fire Comey. Anybody with any ounce of intelligence knows that that couldn't possibly be the real reason, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I mean, if that was the real reason why they wanted to get rid of him, they could have done that months ago. I mean, here we are 5 months later, and they're going to fire him for that. So, that's suspect on his face. Like, anybody with any kind of sense knows that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is this. I think that this all comes down to, a couple of things. I think the real reason why Trump fired Comey has to do with, these things. First of all, the FBI is conducting an investigation of the Trump administration. They're trying to find out whether or not the Trump administration colluded with the Russians in this election, this past election. Whether or not the Trump administration, people in the Trump campaign, whether or not they were actually working with the Russians in order to win this election. That's a very serious matter. And in the news, there have been countless examples of Trump officials who have made deliberate misrepresentations about their ties to the Russian government, about their contacts with the Russian government. Countless examples. So that's a very serious investigation. I mean, here you have a situation where a foreign power is intervening and interfering with the United States election. That's a very serious matter. And the fact that you would have a presidential candidate working with a foreign power to affect a U.S. election, that is a huge issue. That is a big deal that is worthy of an investigation. And so this investigation is going on. And recently, several witnesses have been subpoenaed to testify before a grand jury on this issue. And around that same time, all of a sudden, the Trump administration decides to fire the director of the FBI, one of the main people leading this investigation. That is not a coincidence. They want to do everything in their power to stop that investigation. And what better way to stop the investigation or to undermine the investigation than to fire the person that is leading that investigation? There's no better way to stop that investigation. And then what they're going to do is probably install a yes man into that position. Somebody that is loyal to Trump, somebody that is basically a puppet of Trump, somebody that has no independent decision making at all. I mean, you've seen this on jobs. I mean, you've seen situations where a new president is appointed to a company and they get rid of the old heads of departments because they want to have people that are essentially yes men and weak people that follow the lead of the head of the corporation. And that's the way Trump is handling this whole situation. He wants a weak director of the F.B.I. in place so that he can control the outcome of that investigation. And I also think there's another reason why Trump decided to fire Comey. And I think it comes down to some petty personal issue. And that's the fact that Comey basically testified that he's nauseated at the thought that his actions may have affected the outcome of the election. And I think that really irritated Trump to hear that. And I think that that's probably one of the reasons why Trump decided, well, let me get rid of this guy. And Trump, they made a huge miscalculation with this. They assumed that since Democrats don't like Comey because of how he affected the election, they assumed that all these Democrats would be on board. I mean, these people actually thought this. The Democrats would support this foolishness simply because of what happened during the election. They actually thought that Democrats would actually believe that that was the real reason why Comey was fired. I mean, and I think that the only reason why something like that would happen, the only reason why the Trump administration would move ahead with some ridiculous decision like this is because they have a bunch of yes men in that White House. Trump is essentially running the White House like a dictatorship, where he only wants to be surrounded by people that are 100% loyal to him, 100% dependent upon him, 100%, in agreement with him. So when you're surrounded by a whole bunch of yes men, you make horrible decisions like this decision. So I think, as many people in Congress have called for, I think that a special investigator needs to be appointed to ensure that Russian investigation goes forward, because I think that is very important. That is vital to the life of this so-called American democracy. You can't have a democracy that's legitimate when you have foreign powers influencing the outcome of that election. So those are my thoughts. Tell me what y'all think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.